Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video I'm here to give you my pre-match thoughts going into the upcoming game between Luton and Swansea. Before I go into detail, can we please be a little bit more positive in the comments? So many negative comments, and it's the reason why I haven't uploaded the last 2 days. It's really depressing as someone who makes content to try and be positive, but I've got comments being super negative. It's so demotivating, I can't tell you enough. I know we've had an awful year, but Jesus Christ, some of the stuff I've read over the last week is depressing. It's not that bad, okay? Just realise the ownership which we're currently under, it's not terrible. It's not what it used to be like when we last got relegated as a football club. We've, grown massively since. But the way we're behaving and acting, it's like we've suffered 3 relegations in a row again. It's not that bad. We've had an awful year, I'm not denying that. But can we please be a little bit positive? I know it's hard, but it is depressing reading some of this stuff. But anyway, rant over. Luton v Swansea, what do I think is going to happen? Well, let's talk about Swansea first, and then how I would go about things in order to win this game. So, Swansea, how do they like to play? Well, their style of football is very possession-based. The last couple of teams which we've played have been possession-based. Hull City, Leeds and Norwich. Of course, we haven't done too well against the possession-based sides, but we've got to try and find a way to overcome that. And why do Swansea play possession-based football? Well, in fact, since Graham Potter, they've been a very possession-based team. They've had Graham Potter, they've had Cooper, they've had Russell Martin, and of course their current manager, Luke Williams. They also had Damien Duff during that tenure as well, over the last 5 years, but Damien Duff kind of went against what the club model is, which is playing attractive football, possession-based football. So that was a weird appointment. But I feel like Swansea, the reason why they haven't been competing at the top end of the Championship table over the last, since they've been relegated from the Premier League, is because their top managers, their managers which they keep appointing, keep leaving the football club. So they're unable to build. And why do they keep leaving the football club? Well, because they're playing this attractive style of football, it's allowing other clubs to look at them and go, actually, wow, Swansea are playing really good football. We want their manager who can do that at our club with better players. So their managers just keep getting snapped up. And that means they're unable to keep building foundations that can help them push for those playoff positions. The last time they got into the playoff positions was under Cooper. They finished 4th. Very good season. But the one difference is from Swansea this season and from Swansea from that particular season is that season under Cooper, I feel like they were able to score goals, whereas this current Swansea side, I feel like they should have scored more goals. And I feel like what Swansea are currently missing this season is a striker that can score 20 goals. Now, we all know they don't cost, they're not cheap to sign, and they're very hard to come by. But that's what Swansea I feel like are missing. Once they get a striker that can score 20 goals at this level, I feel like then they could be a real contender to compete for those playoff positions. But until then, I feel like they're always going to be one of those sides that are going to be sniffing around them but not quite get in them. Also, I feel like they play such a high line, which against certain teams it's okay, but when you're playing against a side like Leeds who have got very pacey attackers, you're going to get punished. And I watched the Swansea versus Leeds game, and simply all Leeds goals which they scored were literally Swansea playing up from the back like they like to do, giving the ball away cheaply, and what Leeds were able to do was quickly move the ball about and get the ball in behind. And that's what Swansea have conceded a lot of their goals from. They're unable to stop teams from picking out a pass, getting in behind them, and then the pace and the attack from other clubs just getting in behind, and they're able to score from counter-attacks and so on. And it all comes from Swansea literally playing that high line. Whereas if they play a high line against Luton, if I'm being honest with you, I don't see us taking full advantage of that. But I will talk about that a little bit more later on in the video. But that high line, I think, has cost them a few goals. So I do think Swansea should be higher up in the table if, one, they score a few more goals and be a little bit more clinical, but two, be able to stop teams from counter-attacking that high line too often. So that's how I feel like Swansea need to improve, but I don't see that happening this season. But anyway, How else do Swansea like to play? Well, they do tend to attack down the left-hand side. When they do play out from the back, I would say it's more tended to the left-hand side. Why? Because their left centre-half, Darling, is a very good ball-playing centre-half. Their left-back, called Josh Tymon, I think that's how you pronounce his name, is a very good ball-playing left-back who likes to support the left winger, Pereira, who I will talk about in a second, and also Matt Grimes, who is the left centre mid. And Matt Grimes, in my opinion, is a very underrated midfielder who's a very good ball playing midfielder as well, and doesn't get the credit he deserves. So when you've got those 4 players down the left hand side of the pitch, it kind of does make sense to attack down that left hand side and cause teams plenty of problems. And one of those players that causes teams problems is Pereira. Pereira, I think, is a key player for Swansea. 5 goal contributions at the moment is not the best, but the way he plays can cause teams any problems. He likes to draw fouls. He's a very attacking left winger. He's someone who can pick out a pass. He will put crosses into the box. He's a player that is dangerous when Swansea want to put a ball over the top, and he gets in behind. Very good counter-attacking style of player. A problem for Luton, and someone who we've got to try and deal with. Hashi, hopefully, will be the one to deal with that player. But Pereira, someone who I think will be an issue. And also, with the way Swansea like to play, they're really good at set pieces, defending them especially. So that's an area which I believe is a strength for Luton. It's an area which we're going to have to try and figure out how to exploit, because Swansea, they know how to defend them. So that's pretty much Swansea in a nutshell. The negatives about Swansea. Well, I've already mentioned 2 things about how they play a high defensive line, and also they're not very clinical in front of goal. But they do allow teams to create opportunities against them. So I do think we are going to get chances. Now, how would I go about Luton exploiting Swansea? Well, I would play a 4-3-3 formation, but I can't see us doing it. Now, Edwards came out in the press conference today and said there are more injuries. But more importantly, last week, when we talk about what he was saying after the game, he was saying that some players are on their last chance. So I'm expecting from certain players to see a performance. Will we see that? I do not know. But I would play a 4-3-3 formation. Now, he is not going to play this, and he's not going to play the players which I would play, but this is how I would go about it. I would play Thomas in goal. Right back will be Hashi. I would play a centre-back partnership of McGuinness and also Holmes. I think Holmes deserves an opportunity to come back into the side. Left back, I would play a Murray Bell. So that's my back 5. In the midfield, I play a midfield 3. Defensive midfielder will be Nakamba. And the 2 centre mids I would play in front of Nakamba will be Baptiste and Clark. Now, Clark, I think, has improved over the last 2 games. And I also feel like Baptiste is that type of player who can pick up, you can find a pass and get the ball in behind. Like I've explained plenty of times, Swansea's defensive line. I would play an attacking 3 of Victor Moses, right winger, Joe Taylor as the striker, and left wing Brown. Now, I know he's not going to play this system, and I know he's not going to play this starting 11. I'm just telling you what I would do. I believe Taylor needs an opportunity to start from minute 1. And I also think Moses and Brown, we need a bit of pace to get in behind this Swansea defence. Now, the reason why I would play Joe Taylor is the type of striker who loves to get in behind. And if you pick him out, and what I'm thinking is, Baptiste gets the ball, through balls it into Joe Taylor, one-on-one with the keeper, he scores. That's my thought process behind it. That's how I would go about it. But I don't see it happening. So, that's how I would try and win the game, playing that system and that type of way. Do I think we're going to do that? Of course not. Now, I'm expecting Elijah Alabea and Morris to probably start against Swansea. Elijah does need to start being a little bit more clinical. The amount of big opportunities he has missed so far this season is horrific. He's missed the most big chances in the league, which is an issue. But what I think is more of an issue is, why is he the only one missing these big chances? Why are none of the other players within our team having big opportunities to score a goal? That's also a problem. It can't just go to one player. It needs to go to a variety of players. And recently, I feel like we have been a little bit too predictable in the way we like to go forwards. And I can see this game being a boring 0-0. I really can. If we defend well, I can't see Swansea scoring, as I've already mentioned from the points I've already said in this video. But then, the way we like to attack, if we're going to start with Elijah, Chong and Morris, I just don't see us scoring. So, it could be a really, really boring 0-0. I know the weather conditions is going to be horrific, high winds, potential goalkeeper, long kick, get in behind, bounce over the goalkeeper, mad goals like that. Potentially, that could happen. Probably not. But yeah, the conditions are not going to help. I feel like these two home games which Luton have got, against Swansea and then against Stoke midweek, is absolutely massive on Edwards. If we go through these two games not winning one of them, I just don't see how he lasts as a manager. But look, I'm trying to be positive. I'm trying to, you know, yeah, I don't know what to say. But hopefully we can grind out a result and get a win. I do think if we do win these next two home games, I still think they paper over a few cracks, if I'm being honest with you. The way I'm judging Edwards is against the better sides that are going for promotion. Those are the teams which I'm expecting certain performances from, but unfortunately we've just folded against the best sides in the league. Yeah, and I just don't know anymore what's going to happen going forward. But look, I'm expecting reactions, I'm expecting something, I just don't know what exactly. Score prediction 0-0, and yeah, hopefully we win. But let me know what you think down below, drop a like, let me know your score predictions, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in my match reaction after the game against Swansea.